You go first.
Oh.
Yeah.
Once again, this is Adam.
And Phyllis.
From Alaska Cut the Cord. And we wanted to take a short moment here and just kind of thank everyone that subscribes and likes, and especially the ones that comment on our videos. We look at every single one of them, and every single one of them matters to us. We may not always get to comment right away, but my apologies, we want to. So, I don't know. She's got nothing. So
I got nothing. He said it all.
I did?
Yeah, you did good.
Okay,
Yeah.
Perfect.
We appreciate all of our viewers, and we really hope you guys will stick around because summer's coming.
I know.
And there's going to be a lot more adventures going on. So.
Oh, I can't wait.
Yeah.
We're going to go fishing.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. Anywho, without further ado, let's get to this one. It's kind of a neat video. I hope you like it. It's kind of along the lines of what I like to do anyway. So it's educational and kind of fun. All right. Love you. Bye. All right. Good morning. This is Adam from Alaska Cut the Cord. What you see here is a 90s-ish Yamaha Big Bear. I think it's a 350. It runs, but it's got some issues. One of the main issues is these ridiculous tires on it. These older machines don't have tapered bearings. They have regular roller bearings. And when you put great big tires like that on the front, it puts so much stress on the bearings that, well, you can't really see it right now, but they're completely shot. So what we've got, this is kind of a unique situation. We have a donor machine. So this donor machine right here has the stock wheels on it and the stock size tires, and they're actually in really good condition. We're going to go through this. We're going to do a tune-up. We're going to fix the throttle cable, and we're going to replace the front wheel bearings today, and hopefully that's all that we find. It's hard to say, but without further ado, let's get started. Okay, so as I do, if I work on a Honda, I use Honda parts. If I'm working on a Yamaha, I use Yamaha. It's absolutely critical that when you change the oil in something like this, that you don't just grab any old 10W40. It is specially formulated to run in the wet clutches that a motorbike like this runs. So we're using the Yamaha 1040. We've got a new filter, and we're using a gold pan for a catch pan. So that's only a Alaska sort of thing.
Oh, yeah. Oh, kisses. Oh, yes. Oh.
Oh, you are kidding me.
Is it the other way?
No. Doggy, come on. Here's the deal with the oil plug on these. It's an aluminum hex on the whole cover, and there's a big O-ring behind it. The problem that I have is with a normal socket, you've got a big chamfer on here, and that makes it so you're only grabbing on like half of the nut. So I'm gonna have to take a socket and I'm gonna modify a cheapo. I'm gonna grind that down so it's flat, so I'm grabbing the whole hex. So we are not gonna change the oil today. I'm not gonna risk breaking it. So meanwhile, moving on, we are going to tackle the spark plug. It's part of our service. So, looking at the spark plug there, you can see again, it's fouled out. I mean, it was still running, but as black and charred as it is, it's pretty much completely fouled out. And again, that, I'll bet you, when we look at the air filter is going to be an issue. That's one of the main causes of that. So we've got our brand new one right here, nice and shiny, pre-gapped, and we'll put that in. Spark plug is done. Now the next issue that we have a non-functioning throttle here. It's just locked up tight. Now we did get a new cable for it, but the first thing that I noticed is the overabundance of green electrical tape around the mechanism here, the thumb throttle. So we're going to remove that and see what we find. The housing is actually busted. That may be the reason for the season here. Okay, if you look there, you can see why the electrical tape is on there. We're broken. So at this point, is the cable actually bad or is it just in the housing? Wow. She's just full junk any way you look at it. The gasket's actually intact. The cable does appear to be frozen up, but there's nothing really salvageable here. So this is going to be apparently the first item that we're taking off the other wheeler.
Whoa.
Oh,
Editing.
might want to edit that out.
Okay, but what are we doing?
Well, okay, so in order to replace the throttle cable, we have to remove the fuel tank to get to the carburetor so we can do this properly. There is nothing wrong with the carburetor. Man, the design on these bolts could have been
Did you
thought
want me
out.
to just save the day?
No,
No?
I almost got it. I'm not giving up yet. Okay. Wow, we could have made that longer.
Oh yeah.
Maybe just one bolt, 14 inches long would have been.
Just all the way across?
Yeah, just one giant bolt. Okay, so, ooh, that's still hot. We remove our fuel tank. Let's see what surprises we find there.
And some leaves. Some leaves.
So we're just loosening the clamp on the front of the carburetor, and then we should be able to remove the carburetor. Now, unlike some of them, Hondas in particular, they use a cable for the choke. This is actually a little bit simpler. It's just a push-pull on the side of the carburetor right here. Okay, so this is a little Mikuni, and now I have to figure out how to do this. Okay.
Drop something.
That's fine. You don't really need that. Okay, the first thing I do before I start something like this, I want to verify that the throttle cable that I got is actually the right length and going to be correct. And it seems like we're pretty, yeah, it should be because it's right back there. Yeah, so we should be right. So let's figure this out. So we're gonna have to take this cover off. Wow. That doesn't look as good as I would hope. The gasket is gone. And they tried making, well, it is still there, but they tried remaking it with RTV. That's interesting. And it's obviously had water in it. You can tell that by all of this orange is water. So that, uh-oh, okay, that moves. It's full of water. Shoot.
They kind of meant, so that's the throttle cable.
Yeah.
Oh,
And we need to come up through this loop. What's not in the right place?
throttle.
That's not in the right place, Katrina.
Just letting you know if you screw it down.
There we go.
That's not
That's
right.
not right.
Something else isn't right here either. The hair.
No.
That's not.
That's perfect.
No.
What the hell? Okay, wait a second.
There. That's much better.
God, you're so picky. It's gotta work when it's done too. Jeez. Okay,
Ta-da!
there you are. Now, there is some adjustment to this as well, right here. This is just a lock nut, so you can screw it farther out so it pulls farther. We'll know when we start it. We got throttle cable replaced. We got the mechanism here all replaced. Everything's good. Spark plug's good. This is your key. And we'll flip her to run and let's try it out. Perfect. Now we have this. Runs perfect. So there we go. That part of the job is done. So now we'll put the seat on and we are going to take these front tires off, never to go on again, and find out what the story is with the bearings. Also, another minor issue, if you find this important, there's no brakes. So we're going to look at that as well. But all right, let's go. What size do you suppose that is?
The just right size.
Wow. Wishing I had a bigger impact right now. Nope, that's bad. Ha ha ha. Look at that. And we'll put the record of all things tight on there. Woo! That baby was tight. Or are we gonna do that now? It's got a seal in there. Holy wow. Your brake shoes are gone. Okay, well, what typically happens on a brake drum model is that you have this gasket right here, this seal. That seal rides on this lip of the drum, and that's what keeps the water from getting in your brakes. This four-wheeler has been in water up to the carb more than once, and if you're gonna do that, these tend to fail, as this one has failed. So it filled up with water, and you can see we got about 1 inch of crud out of it. Neither of these adjusters are working. They're frozen up solid, and the brake shoes should be replaced. I'm gonna take this backer plate off. We have to anyway to get to the bearings, and yeah, we'll see what we can do. I'm gonna try to clean these up. I think the drum is actually salvageable, but the bearings obviously aren't, and they left a long time ago. That's why these old models like this do not belong in water up to here. The bearings aren't made for it, they won't last, and the brakes obviously are a failure point. Yeah, I don't know if you can see inside there, but these bearings have left the land of the living a long time ago. The axle, fortunately, is just fine. This is where the outer seal ride, or the inner seal rides. The axle's fine. We're kind of lucky there, but these bearings have, whew. So this is what's left of the bearings. They don't even really actually spin. Oop, I got it.
Oh, it's good now.
Yeah, we'll just put some WD-40 on that and you should be good.
All right, let's
Yeah.
do it.
So yeah, that's one seal out. Let's get the other one out. Oh, I'm gonna stab myself in the hand. You got new, nice seal on there. We got new bearings that actually roll. We got a new seal out here. So we can put this portion back in, and I'm gonna have to do some work on the brakes though, if you actually want brakes.
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Details. She's kind of picky.
She's kind of
high maintenance.
She's very high maintenance.
We do a lot of mountains here. They kind of require brakes.
Okay, so this will be exciting. And I think I screwed up already. Kind of got to put the axle in there first, huh?
Oh, huh.
Well, there's always a possibility, and the bad thing on these, this is your ball joint right here, and it's not serviceable or removable. It's part of the machine, so, and they don't put grease zerks in them. If it were mine and it were brand new, I'd be drilling and tapping this and putting a grease zerk in it. But, so when this ball joint goes bad, you have to replace this whole arm, the whole thing. Yeah, and they're always about 100 to 140 bucks a piece.
You're getting really good at the wrench thing there. Whoop.
I like to do everything at least 3 times. I had to put this CV shield back on there. There is one side done, and now the axle's tight. The axle slopped all around in there before. Now that we know what we're doing, we'll move over to the other side. We'll get that apart, get those bearings replaced, and then we're just on the brakes. Okay, so here's where we're at with this project. I've got bearings replaced over here. I'm working on that over there. But in order to go forward, and this is Alaska, we have a lot of mountains and hills, so brakes are, at least front brakes, absolutely have to work. In order to make these brakes work, I'm gonna need new brake drums because the seals have really worn into them. I'm gonna need the new seals, and I'm gonna need a set of shoes. So I'm gonna have to order that up on Monday. Either that, or I'm gonna locate a disc brake conversion if they make such a thing for a Big Bear, and we'll do that on the front. That would ultimately be the best choice because the disc brakes don't care about water. They'll go right through it and they rinse themselves off, and maintenance on them is super easy because you just have little pads to replace. So with that, we're gonna call her for today. Love you, bye. Yeah, here we go, all cleaned up. Now we got to install them once I get those other bearings swapped out. And then I bought a new bleeder, or a vacuum.
Oh, it's still in there.
Yeah, this was one I didn't get done.
I forgot that was still in there.
Because I wanted to bring my chisel. You are coming out of there. Make
Move. No. Not even let it'll fiddle.
Oh, that helps. I don't understand. It's like they Loctited it in or something. Ah. I should have taken this home with me last time.
Did you bring the torch so you can heat it up, or you don't want to heat up these?
If I would have brought my torch, I would have heated it up.
Oh.
But it's still told me.
Okay, it's moving. It's moving. Disaster averted.
Yay.
But see, you got a spacer in between the bearings, but you can't punch them all the way through because there's a shoulder in there. So that's what makes it such a pain in the butt with these bearings, because you literally got a hook on the very radius edge of this to try to drive it out. And that's what I couldn't do last time. But no, this side's easy.
Runner's dirty.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because we put new tires on it.
Oh.
The big tires. I was just gonna look at that and I forgot about it. I gotta get some mud flaps big time. It tosses rocks for days.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Mud flaps on the front.
Yeah.
How is it getting in without those steps? I might have to try it.
Oh, you just fling one leg up and...
And you go, I stood on the running board, I was like, this is lame. I stood on it and it was like 10 feet taller than the car. I was like, Dad, I would love to help you. I just don't really know the first thing about it.
Oh no, I get it.
Well,
See, that one's leaking oil too. That's a new oil spot.
Yeah, they're leaking out of the front discs. I think they're just old. We just got to make sure there's oil in it. Okay. Now, when you put the new bearings in, you only drive on the outside race out here. You do not drive on the inside. If you drive it on the inside, you wreck the bearing. So just get it straight. And then what you can do is take your old bearing. So we're going to take the old bearing and use that as our driver, because I don't care where I hit on that, and then I can drive it straight. But don't drive it too far, or you'll start driving the new bearing into it. That's as far as I can go. Now I grab my copper here.
How do you know when it's in there?
You can feel it and hear it.
I hear it.
There's
Well, no, it just sounds different when you hit it.
So now let's do it this way. And just lightly clamp on it. Do not forget your spacer. Throw our spacer in there.
And that's from the old, or does that come with the new?
That's from the old one. That's just a spacer that keeps the bearings set the right distance apart. Oh.
Uh-oh.
That's what I mean. Don't overdrive it, because it's meant to fit that bore. Again, it's better if you have a seal driver on these, but if you're gentle, and I'm known for being gentle, right, Phyllis?
Nope.
What?
No.
Oh, we got one loose. Okay. Yamaha, Honda, Suzuki, any of them. These screws are made of like a hard cheddar cheese. And you've got one opportunity to get them. You've got to make sure you've got the right screwdriver for them and press down and turn.
Oh, good job.
Oh, so lucky. You see how they're all messed up in there? You got one chance with these or they strip. So we are now going to try and bleed the brakes on this. Notoriously, ATVs and motorcycles are difficult to bleed brakes on. Should be a O-ring. Oh boy, she's dry. Okay. this out. There is brake fluid in it, by gum. Okay, so the way I've done this in the past is there's absolutely no brakes at all because everything's full of air right now. So I've used these. They were pretty good, especially on like a motorcycle. Tough force a vacuum.
So where do you put the two? How do you bleed it?
Oh, no, you're not helping right now.
Oh,
You
but I might be.
GD Mound, doggy.
Now this doesn't do both sides at once, does it?
No.
That would be way too easy, wouldn't it?
Is anything going down?
Doesn't. Oh, it's starting. Yep.
Don't let it get too low though. They suck air back into it.
Okay, let's put a little bit more in.
Oh, here it is. Oh, good enough.
You want this? You want me to just pump it?
I hear something happening.
How do you know when it's, does it go into the tube then once it's bled all the way through?
Yeah, you draw a vacuum on it. So I'm forcibly trying to suck the air out and draw fluid through to get to both cylinders. What's happening?
The level's going down.
Because I can see I'm getting fluid in here now.
You are?
Yeah,
Okay.
and some junk too.
Well, I'm gonna get that out.
But it is bleeding fluid in here.
Okay.
Okay, hold on. I'm gonna keep a vacuum and close it. Squeeze it. Do you feel like you have anything?
I feel like it's not bottoming out all the way like it was before.
Okay. So we definitely got fluid out of here.
Sorry,
Was it going to that side first, you think?
Well, it splits. Okay. Ooh, this one's tight. Squeeze it. We got brakes.
Sweet.
Here we go. Woohoo!
Oh, come on.
We're gonna wait until we put that recoil on there.
You know what?
We're gonna wait until we put the recoil on there because it's spinning. That's gonna rip the leg off.
Oh, biscuits.
Yeah.
Oh.
So on most four-wheelers that have electric start, there's also a backup way to start it. The little Honda that Phyllis has a kickstart, and this Yamaha has a pull start right here that has long since been missing the cord. They tend to wear out and break off. So what we're going to do, we're going to see if we can't repair this and get it to actually work, so we've got a backup. So I already took the bolts out, so take this out and this is what you've got. You can tell it's kind of dirty in there, so we'll clean that up. I've got a new rope right here, straight out of Yamaha, and we'll see if we can't make this work. So what you've got in a recoil, there's a big clock spring in here, all wound up, so that when you pull it a certain direction, and you can tell by how this comes out here, it's going to wind that way, and when you turn it that way, it winds up. And as it winds up, notice on here there's a little tooth that pops up. That's what engages the end of the crank to turn it over. So the hardest part of these is getting that clock spring right again. But as long as the dog is intact, then it'll be okay. You can see the old rope is still in there now. I'm gonna try to leave that dog on there. Okay, so there is your clock spring that winds up. I'm gonna try to, well, is it attached? Oh, it is. It's wound up tight in there, and it engages right here. This hook right here grabs it right there, so that when you turn it, that's what spins it. Now, as we can see on here, what's left of the rope, which isn't much, is completely locked in there. And we'll take this off. Super fast. Now, when you take it apart,
Cat-like reflexes.
pay attention to the way that it was wound. So as you're looking at it from the top side, this was wound clockwise. Don't wind it the other way because it'll try to unwind the spring and you'll end up pulling out the rope and it'll just hang out there. Make sure things are cleaned up here. You want to keep it cleaned out because you want to try to keep the dirt out of the rope. Dirt getting in the rope is one of the leading causes of failure. So we'll work our recoil rope through and just put a hope knot in it. Yeah, I know I said a hope knot, as in I hope it holds. So put that in there. We don't want too long of a tail. That's all it's going to take. It's always going to be under tension, so it's not really an issue. And just hold that, tuck the tail in, and there's a rope. Now, looking at it from the top, it was wound this way. So we'll wind it around. We'll just run this end back through here, like so. Now, remember, it's got to engage this hook. So when we put it on, we're going to put it over a little bit so that it can drop in there. And make sure your rope stays like so. Boom, there she drops in. Now you can see it's engaging. Now this piece here, the little spring on here, this is what makes the dog kick out. And the dog is spring loaded because if it stays engaged once the motor starts, you have other issues. So I think that went on like so. You can see this works like it should. Pops out every time. Thing engages, returns. So now the only thing left is to put the handle on. Now this is where putting the rope in extra long to start with is a good thing because you want to have pre-tension on that. If you don't have pre-tension on the recoil, then you're gonna start it and then it's gonna be hanging down the side. You want it to be under tension all the time. So we'll shove this through. So now we got the end here and we got it all together. But I said we want to have it pre-tensioned, and this rope is about 3 feet longer than the original one that was in there. So we're going to purposely pull some out, like right there. So now we're under tension, right? So if this pulls out, it's going to pull back in. So at this point, we're going to put a knot on it. Just going to tie a knot on it, and then we're going to test it to make sure that it works before we put it on. That's how it's supposed to work. Now, if you find that it's not enough tension, we still have plenty of rope on here. You can always undo the knot, pull it out a little bit more, and have a little more tension under it. But you always want this closed because when these break and then the handle doesn't get put back on, you have a hole facing the sky, which is letting water and mud go right into your recoil. So that's it. So we will cut this extra end off. And there's supposed to be a little plug that goes in the top here, but I don't see that. So we're gonna cut this off. Does somebody have a lighter? And then with these, if you don't burn it, it's gonna get all undone and frayed. So just kind of burn it, pull it together, and there you go. So we'll put this back on and it should work.
Well, let's see if it starts without the batteries.
Yeah.
How does that, I have no idea. You still have to flip the switch. I've never really used the recoil.
You're still gonna have to use the ignition.
So you still turn it on?
I never could turn it off. I did this.
Oh, okay, so on.
So.
It's, I don't know if I can pull it. I don't know if I'm tough enough. Sweet as day. Nice. There's your boost. You want to come see that? That's where you got a boost. A little too not enough tension.
Is why there's not enough tension. And we don't want to do it while it's running because it's wanting to engage, but for the time being anyway, if you want to test it, then we'll shorten it up. So let's take it for a test drive. He's never even really ridden it before.
Is that the brakes?
Those front brakes are going to have to wear in. They'll wear in.
Yeah, because she's almost coming to a stop.
Yeah. Run it for a little bit and adjust those front brakes.
Little.
Because they're wearing into the old drums. And I can already tell that they've gotten a little softer.
Oh, okay.
So I'd say run it around for a while, but before you take it out on a trip, we want to adjust those front brakes.
Okay.
And I may even bleed them again,
Okay.
just to make sure. She rips though.
Yeah.
You got it working. There you go.
So now,
What?
Katrina and I can go off and have our own shenanigans.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
In the
We can
mountains.
drive to the bar.
And get
Or to the woods, I mean.
To the bar in the woods?
Yeah.
Yeah, it should be great. Heck yeah. No, that's awesome. So we did front brakes, we did a tune-up on it, we got the recoil working, and we've got proper tires on it. And we've got new wheel bearings and new seals.
Yay.
So,
So the only thing that's left is securing lights
yes.
and making sure they work.
They probably do work. They should work. They're in there enough where they should work. I don't know how.
You probably
Zero.
gotta turn that ignition on.
Yeah.
And because that switch isn't in there, oh yeah.
There we go.
I tested them when it was all apart.
Okay. Whoa, cool.
Cool. Grow up.
God,
Hi.
this is Adam
And Phyllis.
from Alaska Cut the Cord. And,
Oh, hold on.
oh,
We got all sorts of beer and alcohol in the photo.
do we?
Yeah.
That's perfect.